Congressman Khanna, thank you for joining us. As I understand, as we are taping this, you left a critical briefing on Iran. The whole world, especially America, we're concerned about it. What can you tell us?
I'm more concerned now than ever before. I mean, look, we've lost 6 American service members already. We're at risk where the president is saying, yes, more Americans could die. He and the administration have refused to rule out ground troops. And Don, there could not have been a more dishonest campaign for president in modern history than Trump and Vance pretending they were going to be the pro-peace candidates. You remember when they said Vice President Harris is going to get us in war in Iran. She's going to create World War III. What happened to all of that? And at this point, the vote on Thursday that Massey and I are pushing, and we will have the vote, is of as much consequence, if not more, as the vote on the Iraq War was back in 2003. The reality is that we can't afford a war, endless war in Iran with a country of 90 million people.
With every time they get out in front of cameras or a microphone and they try to justify or give the reasons for that this was so imminent that they needed to do it this weekend, it becomes even more confusing. And look, I am in this, I think, a bit more than most people, not as much as you guys. I'm not a lawmaker, but I still don't understand. And it sounds to me, and I hate to agree with Tucker Carlson, it feels like we're fighting Israel's war in a sense, because their justification is that Israel was going to strike Iran, and therefore we had to do something about that. Make it make sense, please.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, even Senator Warner said that. And he said, look, if this was a question of whether the threat was imminent to Israel, that's a very different question than whether the threat's imminent to the United States. Let's just be very factual. They do not have ICBMs. They do not have the capacity to launch a missile from Iran and strike the United States. They also don't have the capacity to have a nuclear weapon on a missile. That's a separate thing. I frankly don't think that it was an imminent threat even to Israel. This has been Netanyahu's project for the last 30 years. Regime change the regime in Iran. But here, Don, is what is so sad. We're setting up the Iranian people to be slaughtered. I mean, there's no push to get the IRGC out. There's no plan. So what are they saying? Okay, rise up and what? That the IRGC, the same government which Khamenei was the head of, that they're suddenly just going to lay down their arms after having slaughtered these people? So what is the goal here? The goal, as I understand it, is to diminish Iran's power, just to teach them a lesson. But is that goal worth having Americans die for? Is that worth having billions of dollars go to another Middle East war? And is it really going to leave the Iranian people with a better future? The history of Iraq and Libya and Afghanistan teaches us to have humility.
Congressman, here's Marco Rubio today and yesterday. He appears to be saying two completely different things, contradicting his statements from the day before.
Somebody asked me a question and said, did we go in because of Israel? And I said, you were asking me that follow-up. And I said, no. I told you this had to happen anyway. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties.
So what is your understanding of that? According to people who are on the Intelligence Committee, which include Jason Crow and others, they're saying there is no intelligence that shows an imminent threat to Israel.
Well, my follow-up question to Secretary Rubio would be, well, then why didn't we tell Israel to stop? I mean, that's if they have a view that Israel was going to launch an attack on Iran and Iran is going to retaliate against American troops, is the answer to that, well, let's risk American troops and have 6 service members killed and billions of dollars? Or is the answer to that to say, Israel, you can't do this, not if you're going to put our troops at risk, not after we've given you billions and billions of dollars. I didn't vote for it, but we've given them billions of dollars. Like, who's calling the shots around here? And it's mind-boggling to me that I guess it's one thing that they're being honest, but you're basically saying that Netanyahu has pushed them into this war that he's wanted for 30 years.
Here's the thing that is sort of the tug of war with Americans, I believe, is that we have a process, right? And we have and Congress has the initial war powers, right?
Right.
But Ali Khamenei was a terrible person, and I think most people are happy that he was taken out. Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism and has threatened Israel. So people are conflicted in a bit. They're happy that he's gone, but they also would like the president to have at least followed protocol.
Well, they're happy that he's gone. I'm happy that he's not alive. I mean, who would not be happy that Khamenei met a fate? I mean, he was responsible for the blood of both Americans and Israelis and his own people. He was a horrible person. But the question is, so was Saddam Hussein, and we went into Iraq afterwards. That didn't turn out well. So was Gaddafi. That didn't turn out well. So yes, Donald Trump needs to come to Congress, but we also need to understand that we just cannot keep getting in to these wars overseas, trying to make things better when it often doesn't, because we can't anticipate all the sectarian violence and conflicts. And when we're spending billions of dollars that could be going to housing and childcare and jobs here, and we are risking American lives, putting lives at risk. And by the way, the judgment of this should be the American people's. And they keep telling us we don't want these wars over and over and over again. And then somehow the president gets in there, whoever the president is, and every time Lindsey Graham is the first guest on Meet the Press. Like, how is that guy determining American foreign policy for 25 years? Presidents come and go, Congresses come and go, but it seems like Lindsey Graham is determining American foreign policy. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Let's talk to the Department of Homeland Security and Kristi Noem, who faced a Senate subcommittee today. I know that you were a busy man today, but did you get to see or hear about any of it?
I saw the clips. I saw them on my social media, and good for, as we were talking earlier, good for Senator Tillis for calling her leadership a disaster, a moral disaster. And I mean, she's presiding over an agency that's killing Americans.
Why aren't more Republicans as outspoken and truthful as he was in this hearing?
He's not running for re-election, so he has more freedom. But, there are about 10, 15 members of the House who could do that too. We're not running for re-election. So I still give him credit. But they are so blinded by this demonization of immigrants. This has been the mantra, right, since Donald Trump came down the escalator, that they're unwilling to see that what has happened to ICE goes far beyond anything in terms of the enforcement of immigration laws. You have a federal agency overreaching, killing and harassing American citizens. And by the way, for those who believe in the Second Amendment, killing and harassing Americans for carrying a gun. I mean, how can you be a Republican who believes in sort of smaller government, limited government freedoms, and be okay with this kind of a terrorizing force of the federal government, a federal overreach? And imagine if there was a president who didn't share their values, using that kind of force against the Second Amendment or against things that they believe in. So that's why Tillis, I think, had a moment of honesty.
Cory Booker accused Kristi Noem today, Secretary Noem today, of lying under oath. This is what the senator said. Watch.
We don't detain American citizens, and if there's probable cause.
Let me give you, because you are not speaking truthfully under oath.
Okay. He says she's not speaking truthfully under oath. Hold that thought, because she was also asked about calling Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist right after his untimely death. And she lied about that one, too. Here she is.
Ma'am, I did not call him a domestic terrorist. I said it appeared to be an incident of. When you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
It's obvious she lied both times, because you have evidence of American citizens being detained, and she's saying that they don't do it. I mean, the numbers are there. The people are there. It is real. And then she also said, I think it was worse, because she called him the definition of domestic terrorism. So will there be any repercussions for her for actually lying under oath?
Well, she should be impeached. Look, Senator Booker is usually very careful. He's not a sensationalist. He is actually someone who has a very civil demeanor. I think he was shocked that she was denying the most obvious thing, that they've detained American citizens, when we've had joint congressional hearings, which Robert Garcia and Senator Blumenthal have led, with dozens of members of Congress and senators hearing stories of Americans who have been detained, who have been beaten, who have been harassed. So either she's lying, which is my interpretation, or she's blatantly incompetent and doesn't know anything that's going on. But I believe she should resign or be impeached just for the horrific conduct of ICE. And now she's compounded it with lying under oath. But one thing, Don, is let's be very clear. When Garcia becomes oversight chair, and when the Democrats take back power in the House, and when we do eventually take back the presidency, it's not just going to be kumbaya, let's move on. There needs to be accountability. There needs to be accountability for people like Kristi Noem, for people who killed Alex Preddy and Renee Good, for the people who dismantled Doge and led to 500,000 plus people dying in Africa, for the people who bombed boats off of Venezuela, for people who fired civil servants illegally. There needs to be prosecutions, there need to be investigations, and for the Epstein class. I'm all for reconciliation, but truth and accountability come first.
Since you mentioned the Epstein class, I want to ask you about two things. One is that NPR started as an NPR report about documents being removed that contained Donald Trump's name or that referenced Donald Trump. And then this sham of a deposition by Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton from them last week. First, is there any update on this? Where are these files? Are they going to put them back in? Is there going to be an investigation? The American people want to know.
Well, that was a very tame headline because people are very cautious. But let me just give you the facts. There was a woman who accused Donald Trump of raping her when she was a minor. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. It's an allegation. But she was interviewed by the FBI 4 times. One of those memorandum, the FBI, the Justice Department released. That memorandum doesn't mention Trump. Apparently, his name is mentioned in the 3 other witness interviews, and they haven't produced those. Put aside whether the allegation is true or not. I have no idea. No one knows. But why are you covering up documents that have Donald Trump's name in them? And these were scrubbed back in March by the FBI. It's a huge issue of trust. I was there for President Clinton's deposition, and I've got to tell you, I didn't show up to Hillary Clinton's deposition on purpose. It was offensive to me that they called her to be deposed. She had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, she's married to someone who knew Jeffrey Epstein, and Bill Clinton himself admitted that he should have been called and he had things to provide. But it was pure sexism to go after Hillary Clinton. And as I've mentioned, when I got out of there, after Bill Clinton, talking to some of my colleagues, they treated Hillary Clinton worse than they treated Bill Clinton. It was dripping with sexism, and it was an embarrassment, and she handled herself very well.
I agree. Dripping with sexism and a disdain for her, which is, sexist, I'm sure, which stems from sexism. But what the questions about Pizzagate and all of that, it appeared to me, and I believe that it's going to backfire on Republicans. I think this was a self-own. By them releasing that video, it just showed how unserious they are and how Hillary Clinton is, however you feel about her, heads and shoulders above someone like Lauren Boebert or Nancy Mace.
I mean, they're asking Secretary Clinton how she feels about her husband, Bill Clinton, getting a massage. Like, what does that have to do with Epstein? You're trying to embarrass someone's spouse who, in their own right, was the Secretary of State and the First Lady. And here you have Donald Trump and Melania Trump were all over these files, not coming in to be asked questions. I mean, of course, we'll call them. But the American people have a decent sense of fairness. And they saw that she was being treated very unfairly. She shouldn't have been there in the first place. And then if you called her, stick to asking her factual questions instead of trying to embarrass her. But they've had, let's just be real, they've had a vitriol against her since she first came onto the national scene in 1992. They've never liked her or been comfortable with her as a professional, independent-minded woman. And it still shows. I mean, they've got some psychological hang up there.
Yeah. before I let you go, I just want to make sure that I asked you everything I need to know, because this war, everything is still evolving. Is there any information that you can share with us that you got from the briefing? I don't want anything that's classified or confidential, but is there anything the American people need to know?
Well, without going into anything classified, I would just say we don't have an end game. We don't know. I'm more uncertain. Every time I get one of these briefings, I leave more uncertain. And I want to leave more certain. Like, I don't want to have this vote. I'd love nothing more than the Donald Trump tomorrow says the war's ended. I don't want more of our men and women dying. I don't want our ground troops there. I don't want billions of dollars wasted. I fundamentally am pretty confident the Democrats are going to come back to power in 26 and 28, but I don't want the country ruined in the process. And I will just say this Thursday vote, we've got to stick together as Democrats. I mean, we're down to 4 or 5 folks who are having some doubts, but I really hope we can be unified as a party to say you can't trust Donald Trump to prosecute this war on his whim without Congress. I mean, even if you don't agree with me, I'm wary of these interventions and wars. Just, do you really trust Donald Trump? Do you want to give him this power on his whim, on how long we're going to be there, about who's going to die? And so if we can stay unified as a party on Thursday, that will be tremendous. And we're working very hard. And Speaker Jeffries, Leader Jeffries, and Catherine Clark, they're all working very hard on it.
Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.